Hello and welcome to podcast number 35 for Real Game Media. For a real treat this week, we actually went live on time. We've got a lot to discuss, so I'm not going to stuff around. We're just going to get straight into the intros. Julius Malco, Director of RGM, say hello.
Hey everyone, how's it going? It's been a long time. I missed you guys. Thanks a lot to all of our new friends on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you for your support. Let's get into this.
Absolutely. Mr. Samuel Tolbert, Mr. Assistant Editor-in-Chief, and Mr. 1 year anniversary 500 articles posted in the last 12 months. Hello and welcome to the podcast.
Hello, everybody. It's good to be back. I know you all have missed us. It's been great. And yes, I've been writing up a storm. Someone has to do some actual work every now and again. Let's dive right into these topics. We got a lot to go over. There's a lot of gaming news happening. Let's get to it.
You are a masochist, aren't you?
I work for you, so.
Yeah. And I feel like what you really felt that you needed in your life right now is an additional 10 articles that need to be published by about midday tomorrow. Okay, so
good.
Eric Jackson, welcome back. It has been a good minute. How have you been?
It has been a good minute. Been a little too long. I feel great. I'm happy to be back. Yeah, I'm ready to get into it.
You sound like you're half asleep. You sure?
I was half asleep?
Yeah, you sound half asleep. I mean, compared to everybody else's.
Bella,
you come up in my house sounding like you're about to take a nap.
Dude, I tried to take it all for you. I tried to spare everybody else this time, but you gotta put in.
Well, you should know by now.
Pain train's coming.
You guys know by now. I'm like the mellow fellow. Like I don't.
It's not like we got B Money up in here. I expect some enthusiasm. And I missed that dude. I actually invited him today, but he's a little bit busy with the munchkins and all. So hopefully he'll be able to join us for the next one with any luck.
I thought that was rather energetic, to be honest.
For you, I guess for you that kind of was, yeah. All right, so we've done the introductions. Let's move into what we've been playing. Julius, have you been playing anything that has been released in the last 48 months?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Incredible.
Destiny 2 has been taking up a lot of my time.
Okay.
What's that level at now?
Is that it? Just Destiny 2. That's it.
Well, hey, it's all encompassing.
Sometimes Destiny 2 is all you can really
Director at Real Game Media People, Mr. Julius Malco.
As well,
games.
I'm not gonna get into the other stuff, but you know what I'm talking about.
Destiny could be a handful, though. Let's be fair.
Well, yeah,
it can be. Sure. It can be.
It can be if you've got 3 characters all at max level and you're playing it across 2 platforms. Yeah, that can be a handful.
Exactly right.
All right, Sam, what have you been playing? Please tell me it's more than one game.
Okay, so I haven't been playing quite as much as I would have liked to. Finals have been eating away a lot of my time, plus getting to 500 articles. But I have picked up the Evil Within 2, and all the DLCs, of course. Dishonored 2 and Dishonored Death of the Outsider over the Black Friday sale. I've been sinking my teeth into those. Just finished the first Evil Within and its DLCs earlier today. It's a horror blast. If you're a fan of horror games at all, you should absolutely play it. Ugh, can't talk, sorry. Dishonored 2. Eric, I know I'm way too late on this, but you're absolutely right. It's everything Dishonored was perfected. I think Emily is a great protagonist. Arcane are the masters of level design and movement systems. It's incredible. I think it may actually be the closest thing to a perfect game I've played in a very long time. I can't recommend it enough. Let's see, what else have I been playing? I've also been chugging a lot of time into Destiny 2. Not quite as much as I would have liked, but still dominating the multiplayer wherever I can. Been hopping on some Gears of War 4 events. Been getting back into Titanfall 2 with the X Enhanced patch. It looks astounding, by the way. They did a really, really good job on that one. A little bit of GTA 5, and what else? Oh, yeah, I'm just watching the clock, waiting for the Witcher 3 Enhanced patch to come out, because once that comes out before the end of the year, I'm gone. Sorry, folks. And that's pretty much everything I've been playing.
I just want to say, like, why don't more people play Dishonored?
Nice. Why don't more people play Dishonored? It's an interesting question.
Missing out.
Julius, I feel like you probably you got chucked under the bus there a little bit. I feel like you've probably been playing more than what you think you've been playing, though. Weren't you playing a bit of World War II?
Yes, that's right. Yep.
And some Titanfall?
No, actually, Titanfall, the mobile game, is actually pretty freaking awesome. Titanfall Assault.
Playing that too. So you've been playing a little bit more than what you mentioned.
Yes. It's just, Destiny 2, it gets under your skin, and that's all you live and breathe, even though you're playing other games, and you're like, hey, this is not Destiny. What's going on?
Indeed. And what about you, Eric?
I've actually been sinking my teeth more so into Cuphead.
Nice.
Yeah.
You like it?
Oh yeah. Cuphead is great, man. Cuphead is like that perfect mix of insanity and just like I don't know why I'm putting up with this, but I can't stop putting up with it. If that makes sense. So
I totally hear you. I totally hear you there.
And I get it because you're all masochists, and as Sam amply put it earlier, you work for me.
It's not even like on that like the level of masochist. It's just like I don't know, kind of just the way they put it together, like the way it controls.
It's addictive.
It's very addictive, and it is very like much. You kind of just like look back at yourself like that was on me. It's not that the game's being cheap or doing anything like to mess you up. It's like I'm being impatient.
Yeah.
I completely see what this thing is doing. Yeah, I see what this thing is doing. I'm playing this when I'm tired, or whatever the case may be. Whatever your excuse is, you just kind of go, I'm not letting this game beat me before I go to bed. Next thing you know, 3 hours later,
yeah,
when you should have been in bed 3 hours prior, you're still like trying to get past this boss. But so yeah, I've been putting a lot of time into Cuphead, and trying to dedicate more time to Breath of the Wild.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and trying to like sink my teeth into that. The one thing that annoys me about that game, though, is definitely, and this is on record from a lot of different people, but the weapon degradation.
Yeah,
like I don't know why that was a design choice. It's sort of like it makes your weapons mean nothing.
Well, I mean, I know Hyrule uses only the finest glass shards and graphite powder in all their blacksmiths, but nonetheless.
Yeah, but it's sort of like okay, this is a pretty cool weapon. I like this, and I'm only gonna get like 6 or 7 hits before it shatters. It's just so I don't know. I don't even really know. Maybe as I go through the game, maybe it starts to make more sense. I've never heard anyone say it does, because usually when people put a mechanic in like that, it makes sense for something later. But I'm not seeing the real necessity or the reason that they decided to do that. So
yeah, I don't know because I haven't played it, but I will say that's the only consistent complaint I've heard from everybody. It's like no matter whether they love it or hate it, they'll all agree, yeah, the weapon degradation is terrible.
Yeah.
So,
and I started another playthrough on Wolfenstein 2, another game I highly recommend. And
good man.
Yeah. So yeah,
killing those fine people, eh?
Oh yeah. Without losing any sleep. So, but that game's a ton of fun. Yeah. So that's pretty much what I've been playing, and yeah, the backlog list is just insane.
Just grows and grows and grows.
Grows and grows, and Black Friday didn't help. I went in on like pretty much every system except Nintendo. There wasn't a lot of deep sales on Nintendo, but PlayStation and Xbox got a lot of love.
Yeah, because I think mainly their focus was on Zelda and Mario, right? And you've already got that happening.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I'm playing a lot of my Mario Odyssey with my daughter. Like,
yes, Sarah would be loving that, wouldn't she?
Yeah. I'm almost not allowed to play it on my own because I know she'll come in and be like, I don't remember this level, like how do we get here, type of thing, So yeah, but she always wants to play that, so that's a fun game that we can kind of just jump in and experience together, And actually today she saw me playing Cuphead. She said, "Can I try that?" I was like, "You don't want to try this." But I let her take the sticks for a little while, and she kind of got bored really quick and ran away. So
yeah.
No. Anyway,
she'll get there. She'll get there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good spread of games. Good work.
Actually, we did. We beat 3D World together on Wii U a few weeks ago.
Oh, that's cute.
My girl. Yep.
Nice. All right, well, that's a good list of games. I have been playing Call of Duty World War II, as you guys would know from my review. Also, the Frozen Wilds DLC for Horizon Zero Dawn. That world is just spectacular, stunning, captivating, and immersive.
Starting it tonight.
Such a good game. Oh, you're going to love it. You are going to love it. I've also been playing Final Fantasy 15. It's finally released. I get to fish in VR with Noctis. It's amazing. Absolutely loving it.
Said no one ever.
Lots of celebration. I'm sorry. What was that, Julius?
Talk about masochists.
Sorry, Julius. What was that?
Oh, no, sorry. Connection was bad.
Sam, you like your job. You want to keep it. What did he say?
I'm getting a lot of static on this end. Hold on. I'm going to try disconnecting my headset and then reconnecting real fast.
You're a bunch of pussies. All right.
Sam's going through the tunnel.
Apart from that, I've been playing a little bit of Shadow of War. Not a great deal of it, but yeah, a little bit of Shadow of War, and I've been watching my partner play a ton of it. So, and he's really, really enjoying the crap out of it. So yeah, I've been playing a fair bit myself, and lots of other little bits and pieces as well. And I've got the Fantasy 15 to sink my teeth into, and a few other bits and pieces. So yeah,
nice.
It's going to be a good couple of weeks coming up for gaming. So now that we've had a look at everything that we're playing, why don't we move into the main body of the podcast, yeah? Mm-hmm. Talk about these recent and upcoming game releases. So Tomb Raider and Rise of the Tomb Raider have sold around 18 million units. Now, if you have a look at how Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics looked at this initially before the releases, they thought that they were going to sell more than what they anticipated. They sold less, but now collectively they've sold more than they could have hoped for. So who wants to have a weigh in on that and tell us what you think about expectations and how they're clearly not being set by developers and publishers early on?
Well, I hope they're finally happy, because they weren't happy with, what was it, like 3 or 4 million at the time?
Yeah, I mean,
that's a failure.
The first Tomb Raider, well, not the first Tomb Raider, the 2013 reboot, the first of the rebooted games, made 3.5 or 3.6 million its first month, and they were like, oh, that's terrible. It really underperformed. And everyone else was looking and saying, okay, we know it's Tomb Raider. We know, but A, the series really declined over time before this, and B, there wasn't actually that much critical faith in the reboot. 3.4 million your first month is astounding. That's fantastic. I don't know. I'm glad that they finally seem to be happy with it, which seems to be sort of due to a changing of hands. There's a new CEO now, a lot of new blood at Crystal Dynamics. So moving forward, they're going to be a lot more realistic. What I was really surprised about is how well Rise of the Tomb Raider is doing, considering it launched against Fallout 4, as an Xbox One exclusive, which that went over really, really, really well, as anyone who remembers that in 2015 can recall. Then it launched on PS4 a year later. So, hey, 7 million at this point, that's not bad at all.
Yeah. Can you attribute that, a big portion of that, to like the PC crowd?
Yeah, probably the PC crowd. And then, you've got people who I think regardless of platform, PC, Steam, Xbox, they would all be saying, oh, it's $20, it's $30 now in a sale. Yeah, sure, I'll get it. Now that the holiday rush is over, probably made up a lot of that in February, March the next year. That'd be my guess anyways. I don't have a graph.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And it's a great game to boot. I mean, there's no reason not to pick it up and play it. I didn't understand why people just did. I know people were saying, well, it got thrown in there against, Fallout, but I'm like, those are two wildly different games. You really could have picked both up and had a great time,
Yeah, it was an interesting time for them to release that one. And I think the other side of that coin as well, though, is that we've seen a lot of layoffs on studios lately, particularly some closures of studios that we never thought were even in danger of looking at being shut down. And would this be a cause and effect thing where these studios are putting these unrealistic expectations on their sales figures versus the amount of time and money that they're investing into their actual product? And when these things don't come to fruition, that ends up in studios that are absolutely bursting full of talent being shut down.
Yeah,
it's possible. I mean, I know that for example, EA wanted Dead Space 3 to sell 5 million. And it's like, look, I love Dead Space. It's one of my favorite trilogies from last gen, but that was always a very niche title at absolute best. Horror games simply are. That's a fact of it. Not everybody picks them up. They're not very mainstream. So 5 million in your first year, that was a little bit unrealistic, especially given how many other games were launching around the same time period and whatever. So I don't know. I think it certainly plays a part.
Indeed. All right, well, we'll leave that one there. Anybody who wants to read a little bit more into that, you can check out www.realgamemedia.com. We have an article up there about the figures and the expectations and some quotes from the development studio itself, so you can get a little bit more context around that. Moving on to Phil Spencer says Microsoft will grow more first-party content. Now, this, for anybody who is primarily an Xbox fan or an Xbox gamer, is a real issue right now. There has been a real deficit, I guess is the best way to put it, a real deficit of first-party content on Microsoft lately, and I can understand why people are complaining about it. It's not like there isn't enough third-party stuff to keep you well and truly entertained for the next 47 years, but I can understand why if you are solely on that console because you solely like their exclusive content, that would be an issue for you. So I guess this statement from Phil Spencer saying that they are aware of this and that they are going to put a focus on that has really garnished a lot of positive feedback from the community. How do you guys feel about this?
I'm taking a cautious approach to this because we've heard this before, and then we have nothing to show for it. In terms of what kind of IPs they're going to come up with, I don't know. I think it would help if they had some kind of ideas. If they had anything in the works, in the pipes, something like a teaser trailer could get more, I guess, hype behind what they're working on. That may happen in the future, but I think right now the first step is to acknowledge the fact that they are lacking in the first-party exclusives area, which is a good thing. But I won't change my opinion of the sparseness, quote unquote, at this point in time until I do see some things coming along. I'm worried about Crackdown 3. I'm worried about the cancellation of Scalebound. I think Scalebound could have been an opportunity for them to throw a brand new IP out there and see what happens, but that project got canceled, unfortunately. And Crackdown 3 has been quiet, insanely quiet. I mean,
yeah.
It's to the point where I don't even care that Terry Crews is in the game anymore. Like, I've actually gone back and started playing the original Crackdown on my Xbox.
Mm-hmm. So are we not even a little bit, I guess, skeptical about the timing of that too? Like, it's not that far after E3 has already wrapped up. We didn't see that much AAA first-party content announced. Saw a lot of indie content announced, which is great. Love indie games. Some of the best experiences I've played have come from indie games. But we didn't see a great deal of AAA stuff announced. So we get this really small gap after E3, and then Phil Spencer comes out and is like, hey, we're going to put this big focus on this first-party content. We know the wait that we're going to have is until June 2018 to see or hear anything about this stuff, unless it's leaked in inverted commas. So what's the point in that? Is it just a filler comment, or do you think it's Phil Spencer and Xbox saying, we really need to engage a little bit better with our community and let them know that we're hearing their complaints, that we're hearing their concerns? How do we feel about the timing of this announcement?
I'm of two minds about the announcement because I mean, I'm on record, and Sam knows this. I was always like kind of goofing on the whole, the year of the Scorpio, we're answering the power thing, going back and forth on that. Shortly after E3, I think Phil did mention that they had some things planned, but those things were 2 or 3 years out. That puts me where Julius is. I'm like very kind of like, that's quite a ways away to kind of answer that narrative. And then as of recently, he kind of doubled down on that, saying that, they've answered the hardware narrative. They've answered the backwards compatibility narrative. All good things to answer because you're kind of taking care of almost every portion of that base. But the person like me who's always come for the exclusive state for the multiplayer or the third party, whatever, that was going to be the main question I was going to have, for Phil and the teams, and say, okay, you answered those who wanted the power, over and over and over again. BC is great because I'm all for, having, access to these games, because how many great games are lost to us on systems that we don't have anymore. So that's a beautiful thing too, game preservation.
Yeah.
But I want to get from you guys what I've always gotten. I want a new IP that sort of like Gears was. I want that feeling of the first time I saw Halo. I want something from you that says that, especially when you have a machine out that's saying, it's the beast, and it's powerful, and this and that. Who knows your platform better than you do? And how awesome would it be at this point to have seen something that goes along with that? And kind of going back to what you just said, Bella, I know they get goofed on a lot for the whole wait and see thing. They're always waiting. But I think E3 2018, you absolutely have to have something. Even if you don't have anything major to show, you have to address it. You can't do that quiet beginning of 2017 where it was just like you weren't saying anything. You can't go into E3 2018 being that quiet again. You have to start answering these things. And I know people always say, well, this thing is kind of going back and forth where people like, Phil had mentioned on Horizon Zero Dawn, and he talked about Breath of the Wild as being single player experiences, and and people kind of take that and run with it and say, well, games as a service is where things are going, this and that. I get that, that's all well and good, but you also have a base that wants to see AAA experiences from you, single player experiences from you. And I kind of always said, until Nintendo and Sony kind of weigh in on this and say, no, it's not that viable anymore, I don't want to really hear that. And I don't want people saying, kind of going double down and saying, the games as a service thing is definitely where it's all going, because you're still Microsoft. You're one of the richest companies in the world.
Yeah,
it can't
absolutely.
be this thing where we accept, well, those games they're just not successful for them. No, we don't accept that. You take the risk, put it out there. You have to do that. It can't be this thing where, well, we don't want to do that because we're afraid of the return on it. No.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that they're afraid of the return because it is an exclusive?
I mean, that could definitely be the case. That could definitely be part of it.
Because we've seen things like Recore. That's a brand new IP, brand new, platformer style genre for that IP, and it's like it didn't seem there was much of any support behind it.
Because it wasn't that great.
I know, right, but but that's on them, right?
Yeah, that's definitely on them. But I think you'll see more games like that from them, because while it didn't do incredibly, I don't know what the numbers are on it. I think it's taking its lumps or whatever, but I definitely think they're somewhat committed to that title. I can kind of see that.
But
I don't know if you'll get like a AAA. Was that
Sunset Overdrive?
Yeah, but that's not theirs. I mean, that's on Insomniac.
Yeah.
We're talking like first party. And I wanted to say this too, to kind of double down on what I was saying before. I understand when you're talking about Ryse and you're talking about Sunset Overdrive, they don't have complete control over how that may happen, and they may not necessarily want to go into that well. But when it comes to your first party publishing, your first party efforts, you have to be there.
Yeah.
You have to think about this. You have to commit to it. And I know Phil's saying, they have to address it. Who's going to work on what? What studios are you planning? All these things have to be addressed. And we all know you don't just wake up one day and say, hey, we have a new IP and we're going to try it. It takes time to master that and develop that. Sony has spent years, and I think their entertainment background helps them with that. But they are kind of willing to let their creators kind of go and create and come back with something.
Yeah.
Not everything's a gem. I mean, you can say what you want. Some people like NAC, some people hate it. But they did it, and then they tried it a second time. Whether we see a NAC 3, I'd be amazed. It would be funny as hell if they did. I'd be like, wow, they're balls in on NAC.
NAC 3. If we see a NAC 3, Mark Cerny has blackmail on shoe. Okay, I'm sorry. You can take that to the bank. He's got something on him or Andrew House if we see a NAC 3.
Right. But
Is that one time?
But I wouldn't.
It's a good point, though.
But the crazy thing is, I wouldn't put it past them to do it. Because they would look at the fact, they say, okay, well, some people hate Next, some people like it, but they'll kind of go, well, we have people that like it, and it doesn't really cost us a lot to do it. We have the assets, we have the thing. Let's throw it out there, see what happens. Fan service. And I kind of like I didn't talk to Cal about this in detail from Tick, but we both kind of agreed. And I'm kind of the other night I was looking at Halo 5. Since I have the Excellent Sky 4K, I wanted to watch the opening of Halo 5. And I was just watching that opening and seeing Team Osiris doing what they were doing. I was like, how, at this point where there's like a little vacancy and a little barren wasteland, and I've said this before, like, Chief, I'm kind of over, but I think Halo has value as a property.
Shut your dirty mouth and wash it out with soap.
Oh, dear.
What?
Well, even, can I interject a bit, Eric?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sort of build on what you're saying. Regardless of your opinion, let's put it that way, of whether Chief should stay as a central protagonist or not, regardless of your opinion, we can definitely acknowledge that the world of Halo is big enough to be this thing where you've got this story set over here in this corner, and it's a completely different genre. You can have this, like, I would love, and this is never going to happen.
Halo wouldn't exist without John, but let's move on.
Well, I was just going to say, I would love to see like a horror game. Like some Marines stranded in a flood containment center, very few weapons. That would be awesome for me. Just, see them explore those ideas a little bit. You can play around. You have a fantastic universe. You've got these incredible amounts of lore built up in the books and, the tie-in novels and all that stuff.
And my thing is, people, kind of gave Locke a hard time. But I said, Locke and Team Osiris, they have a lot of potential to be a really cool team and to do something really cool with them. And how cool would it have been? Maybe you got like a third-person tactical game where, they're going off on covert missions that happen in between these other events to kind of flesh out that world a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Almost absolutely. Like a Splinter Cell type, not stealth, but you know what I'm saying, like covert operations.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Just in the meantime, in between time. But the only reason I love Chief, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, there's a whole world out there that they can explore. It doesn't always have to be about, every game has to be about Chief.
Right. I mean, and Halo Wars and Halo Wars 2 do go that route, right?
Halo Wars 2, yes, I love Halo Wars 2. More people should play it. I'm looking your way, Eric.
If we go down this road, we are going to end up in an hour's worth of conversation about Halo.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes, there's plenty wrong with that.
But my whole,
we're gonna move on.
My whole point being, I'm not surprised to see another Ori coming. Again, that's not the most expensive thing, and they got a good return on that. But I'm saying, from the first party standpoint, they do have to take that risk. I don't know what that's going to be. I don't know who they're going to have working on whatever, but they got to get out there because their name right now is basically like cancellation and rerun, and kind of going back to the well. And they got to get past that. They got to get around that narrative somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so what we'll do.
And for those of you out there, I do not hate Chief. I love Chief. Don't take it wrong. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so let's move on to the next subject matter before we linger here too long. Demon Souls is going offline in 2018. Now, whilst I have played plenty of Dark Souls, I have not played any Demon Souls. So I'm going to hand over to you, gentlemen, who have actually played this game. Floor is open to you.
Well, pay your respects to the title that actually got everything started.
Right.
Because it was the cult following of Demon Souls that allowed us to get Dark Souls and Bloodborne and whatever else From Software works on in the future, It didn't sell ludicrously well. It sold decently, but it got critical praise, and it fostered, I think what's fair to say, is one of the most hardcore, passionate, committed fan bases on planet Earth. Demon Souls introduced a lot of new concepts, or rather, it reintroduced a lot of concepts in terms of the unrelenting difficulty, but bringing a bit of a bit of a Western infusion to traditional Japanese game making. It worked really, really well. It has a lot of interesting dark fantasy, gothic lore. It's a shame to see it go. I really hope we get a remaster announcement.
There should absolutely be a remaster of that because, no one ever thought I shouldn't say no one ever thought, but it took a little while for this thing to stick and become mainstream.
Yes, it really did.
And like you just said, there were already cool kids there who knew about Demon Souls. And when it was a time where people were like, "You ever heard of a game called Demon Souls?" I remember having a discussion about that with a friend. He was like, "You ever heard of a game called Demon Souls?" I'm like, "No, I don't think so." He goes, "Apparently it's ridiculously hard." And that's all the conversation was. Little did we know, going into Dark Souls, So as a history thing, it would be great if that was like, can you imagine if they did like a package with like all the games?
See, as much as I absolutely talk up backwards compatibility, and as much as I think that's one area where Microsoft is trouncing Sony in terms of their support for older games, I will be a shameless hypocrite and buy a Demon Souls remaster or a Souls Collection remaster the moment it ever gets announced. Absolutely, 100%.
Now, is that just for the online co-op portion, or is it all?
Yes, it is, but how can I say? Actually, the game is getting shut down. Whatever, it's not a spoiler at this point. Demon Souls has some really unique mechanics in terms of allowing players to be summoned and actually take control of certain bosses. And the online functionality vastly affects the game. It changes the difficulty. It changes what types of enemies show up. Sure, you can still play it, but even more than the later Souls games, it's really not going to be the same without the online component. It's really not.
So are there that many people playing it, though? I'm not sure if the figure's already been brought out or not, whether I missed it, but are there that many people playing it that it's that devastating that it's being shut down?
Well, I think
still got its following. I don't know about devastating, but it's still got its following. You have people that, some people have that annual playthrough.
Yeah, I guess I can understand that.
But as far as devastating, I don't know what the numbers would be on that. So it's devastating to somebody.
Are we seeing a rising trend in this at the moment, or is it?
Well, I think this is one of those things where game makers tie in an online component and then have to shut down servers either because of cost or lack of support by end users, right? I haven't seen too much of a big uprising on social media, but I could be wrong. No petitions, at least, that I've seen.
Shit throw.
It's just that they're taking Phantasy Star online on Dreamcast offline too.
Wow.
Welcome to the world of online.
All right. So moving on from that, straight through to EA removing Star Wars Battlefront II's microtransactions. Well, at least for a minute.
Can we put a time limit on this?
For the gamers.
I feel like we should be placing bets. Can we get a monopoly on some sort of betting system where everyone can bet how many days it takes until they reinstate them?
December 26th.
December 26th. I think that's quite generous. I'm going to say December.
December what?
8th. December 8th. I'm going with 8th.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. I don't think this is going to last very long. Yeah. 5 days time.
Now, do they come back the same way? I think they'll come back for sure, but do they come back the same way?
I don't think they will. I think what will happen is they will reinstate some of the microtransactions, and then a little bit further down the track, they'll implement a few more of said previous microtransactions, and then a little while down the track, they'll introduce a few more of said previous removed microtransactions, and then before we know it, we'll have all the microtransactions plus some new ones. It'll be it'll be great. It'll be amazing.
$20 DLC for all the weapons and characters.
Yeah.
Well,
you can play as Darth Vader. It's just going to cost you an additional $32.18.
Yeah. I want to pick Vader though.
Well, if you want to pick Darth Vader, that's going to cost you $72 annually.
Annually? Jeez.
Well, on a serious note there, you guys heard about the mined data, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take that as a no. Well, so evidently some hackers were able to break down the game's source code and find that there's a lot of different options and different character customization skins that aren't available in the game right now.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. That before we know it, it's not going to just be all the stuff that was in there back. It's going to be that and then some.
Yeah, that's probably how they'll tie the microtransactions in whenever they come back. They can't do it the exact same way, though. I don't think the community will let them get away with that at this point.
Oh,
I don't think Disney will let them get away with that.
I don't know. I think that they will get away with it purely because they've been, they've appeased the community, so to speak, by removing them to begin with. But
I disagree. This saw the most downvoted comment in Reddit's history. This thing was a phenomenon that NBC picked up on.
Mainstream media's picking it up.
Mainstream media picked up on this, and here's the thing. I got news for everybody out there. Disney doesn't care about the microtransactions. They care about bad press.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the issue.
Right before
That's
Star
why
Wars
they
movie came
stepped
out.
in. They saw the Star Wars name being tarnished before the biggest film of the year releases. That's why the call was made.
Do you think they're not going to care after the movie's released, and then they're going to go, okay, we're done?
Considering they have movies
Absolutely.
releasing every single year, no. I mean, I think they're going to care. They might not care as much, but they'll be keeping a close eye on it, for sure.
Right.
Not in terms of monetization, but in terms of positive press or negative press.
Right.
I think they're going to sneak. This is what I'm saying. I think they're just going to sneak things in bit by bit by bit by bit. And it'll be, it's just this one or two micros here, and everyone will be like, it doesn't matter. The following week, another couple, another couple, another couple, another couple. It's going to be drip fed back through to the point where it's not like, oh my God, it's right back to where it was. It's like, it's a couple, we can accept that. Oh, we can accept these other couple, we can accept that other couple. And before you know it, we're back to not only where we started, but it's worse than how it began.
But by that point,
it'll probably be,
or either that, or it'll get to the point where nobody's actually playing it, and it doesn't matter. And anyone that's on EA Access that gets it for free will be like, all right.
Yeah, exactly. They would give two hoots about the micros. So, but let's not spend too much time talking about that because there's been a lot of focus put on that in the media recently, and I feel like it has had enough attention given to it. Let's move straight on to the Xbox One X. It's had its release. It was relatively successful. Microsoft were happy with the amount of units that were sold. The majority of reports that are coming out from people who have bought it have been that they've been very happy with it. They're happy with the console's design, its setup, systems, the graphical improvements, the list of the enhanced games, the frame rate, all these different things that are apparently extraordinarily important to gamers in this era. Is Sam the only one who has had the opportunity to pick up the X yet?
I have one.
You have one too. Okay, so both of you have one. I'm putting mine off into the new year because Microsoft have this uncanny way of saying, F you, day one adopters. What we're going to make you do is pay full price so we can make our sales look really, really good. And then anywhere from 2 to 3 months down the track, what we're going to do is we're going to drop the price by about $100 and we're going to bundle it with 2 games for free. So yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm sick of being a day one adopter of these things and having a big, bird flipped up at me a month later. So yeah,
that's what I'm doing. I'm waiting to the new year. EB Games here in Canada usually has a great trade-up deal. So Xbox One, one of my Xbox One S's will get traded up to an Xbox One X. That's how I did my Xbox One S upgrade. I got 2 of them for $200 just by upgrading my original Xbox Ones. So yeah, it's it pays to wait. At the same time, I did have an opportunity to play on a 4K TV the other day, which is pretty awesome. The upscaling on the Xbox One S is pretty impressive, and there is a noticeable difference between that and a regular Xbox One connected to a 1080p TV. But I'd like to hear from you and Eric and Sam what your impressions are if you have a 4K TV, or what are you playing it on?
Yeah, I just got a 4K set for my birthday over the weekend. So,
nice. Why don't you take it first, Eric? What are your impressions?
Okay. Well, I'll say I can completely understand Bella and Julius, doing the waiting game. But as Sam and I are professional GameStop flippers, we were able to. I think Sam was there day one, but I think Sam remembers I was saying if I didn't do the flip, I probably would have held off a little bit too. But
it's not about whether I can get it cheaper. It's about the principle of the whole F you for supporting us process. But please continue.
That deal was way too good to pass up, though.
Yeah. I mean, and plus, here's my thinking too. I traded in my S. I have no need to really keep the S once I have the X here, and if I can be completely honest, the values on those they don't usually go up, they come down. So I wanted to strike while the iron was hot, and they gave me 150 for it because, I mean, if you look at what happened like with the Xbox, the OG Xbox One, I mean, there were places offering like $70 for it. And that was like before the S even came out. So I was kind of like, can I get that high value now? So yeah, essentially, you know, I walked out with my X, you know, for about a little under $300. No, actually less than that. So yeah, so I went ahead and made that move, you know, while the iron was hot. So, but as far as the system itself, no, definitely, I can definitely see the improvement. I had like a few glitches going on with mine, and I didn't get the Scorpio edition. And I know people, for some reason, it seems like people have been having issues with that one. I haven't had any major issues. I've had some controller disconnects happening or freezes. I don't know what's up with that. But nothing too hampering. But as far as how some of the games are looking on it, definitely amazing. Definitely saw some difference in the super sampling when I was on my 1080p TV.
Oh, passwords.
Just because you don't understand, don't get mad.
Oh.
You know what? I read your draft earlier about your Xbox One impressions, and I feel like you should probably go back to the drawing board. There's a lot of work that needs to be done to that before I'm going to allow that to be published.
Hey.
Wow.
Julius, you ever walk in on mom and dad arguing? You're like, uh-oh.
I feel like Homer Simpson right now backing into a bunch of bushes.
Hey, I'm just trying to talk about my Xbox.
I'm going to go get a drink.
Yeah, Sam's going to go completely rewrite his impressions article.
So that being said, yeah. So I mean, like I said, I had like some small minor issues. Like I actually tweeted the other day, I refunded Wolfenstein 2 on it because I had this weird red and green line issue going on. Apparently, it's happening to a couple of people.
Oh, dear.
And as I didn't get any answer from support, Xbox support, or Bethesda Machine Games, I just kind of said, you know what, for now I'll refund it, and maybe later I'll pick it up. But you know what, honestly, I played through that on the Pro, and it looked just as good to me on the Pro. So I was kind of like, I'll just keep rolling with that. I already have a save file on there, play through it, on the harder setting, so I'm good with that. But other than that, no, I don't feel bad about the purchase. I think if you're thinking about it, you're thinking about it for a reason. It's definitely not for everybody. I think if you have an S, you're completely fine rocking with that, even though there's a 10% community on Twitter that have forgotten about the S over a year ago, But
what? No, people on Twitter are completely reasonable and rational.
So, but no, if you're into this kind of thing and you're looking at doing the X and you can afford it and go for it, I say go for it. But I can understand people holding off. I understand why Bella is. I understand why Julius is. I do know a few of the people.
I buy these things all the time, day one. You know what I mean? All the time, day one, I buy this stuff. And it's specifically more so with Microsoft. And I hate saying this because I love my Xbox. I love my Xbox One. I met the love of my life because of Xbox One. I love Xbox. But they do have a really shitty way of kicking you in the teeth if you're a day one adopter of their new consoles, because within 1 to 2 months, there's a major price drop and then they chuck a game in with it. It's like, well, if you only held out for another 4 to 6 or 8 weeks, you could have saved yourself $100 and had 2 free games. How is that rewarding to people that are actually helping give your console good figures and allowing for you to promote yourself even more predominantly in the market as being a sought-after piece of machinery? You're not rewarding anybody. You're actually rewarding the people who are just like, oh, well, F you, Microsoft. I don't care about your new console. I'm going to wait back and I'm going to sit back and see what everybody else thinks. I'm going to let everybody else beta test this for me. And then they jump on board. You're rewarding the people who could not be effed to support you. And I really, really dislike that practice. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that.
Do you think part of that is where like the sales kind of stand? Because I mean, let's be realistic. I mean, throughout the year, they were giving away the Xbox One S, with numerous games, and that didn't really seem to affect the NPDs. I know a lot of people are saying, no, everybody's waiting on the X. I'm like, okay, not everybody's waiting on the X. There's something there with that. So I understand what you're saying.
No, but it was quite cheap by that point, and it was coming out with games. For me, for example, I upgraded to the S, paid full price day one for it. Within a month, that shit had a price drop and was coming out with free games.
Yeah, see, I guess I didn't feel that because I only paid $100. Because again, for whatever reason, Amazon gave me like a really nice trade-in deal on my Xbox OG.
See, I didn't trade mine in. I kept my day one Xbox One. And I actually gave it to my nephews because I wanted to bring them into the world of Xbox. So again, for me, you know what I mean? Like I'm encouraging more gamers on Xbox. I'm spending more time and money on Xbox. And I just keep feeling like every time that I make a purchase from them as far as new content or new consoles and peripherals go, I get a bit of a kick in the teeth within 4 to 8 weeks after having done so. I go out of my way to make sure that I'm there supporting them day one, giving them my money, showing them that I'm behind what they do, that I love their system, their console, the peripherals, whatever. And it's the people who can't be apt to do that, who sit back and wait for a price drop, that actually get rewarded for it.
Yeah. And honestly, like I said, I think that comes down to where things kind of are within this generation. I don't know if X is going to change that. I just think.
Well, I hope I hope that Microsoft have actually had a look at that and realized that this entire system, the way that they are going about this, does not actually encourage people to be a day one adopter of it. And obviously, they can't drop the price automatically, but they do need to understand that if they're going to expect people to want to put their time and money into being day one adopters of their new systems, that dropping a price 1 to 2 months later is not going to encourage people to continue to do that. It's only going to be people who have a shit ton of money or who are absolute fanboys, like, you know, the worst of the worst fanboys, bleed green fanboys that are going to constantly be fronting up day one no matter what happens, no matter if they know they only have to wait a week and there'll be a price drop, would still rock up day one. You know, it's, I don't know.
Well, if this thing is truly selling gangbusters, which, you know, we don't know, then you won't see that. If it's not coming back the way they want it to, then you'll see it.
Yeah.
That's basically, you know.
That being said, didn't the Xbox One X come with a 1 month subscription to Xbox Game Pass?
Yeah.
Oh, that whole $10.99 thing. Yeah. It totally.
Yeah. So I mean, for any
that way you could get for $1 last month, by the way. But yeah. Please tell me more.
Well, I mean,
I would like to subscribe to the magazine.
Just for someone who's picking up an Xbox One X for the very first time, they've got a whole library bundled with that console. It may not be a AAA title like brand spanking new, but there are games included with the Xbox One S.
This is very true, but in all fairness, unless you don't work, how many of those games are you going to get to play in that 1 month?
Not very many.
Okay, so again, I go back to value for money there. $10 a month. Last month was $1 to purchase. It's a marketing play, and I see where you're coming from. I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah. But and I see where you're coming from too, but you just can't. Yeah.
Aaron, I paid my Game Pass for it because, like, for the exact reason Bella said, I have a tremendous backlog. I was like, I don't know when I'm ever going to get to use, you know, most of the stuff on Game Pass. A lot of it I already own.
Yeah.
You know, so I just kind of paid mine forward and said, hey, you know, I think it's a great thing. You know, someone else can get that benefit out of it. And but like I said, if the X is selling super well, then you may not see that right away. But I get it. I understand it completely what you're saying. Totally what you're saying. And you know, it's valid. That's definitely a valid reason. I would play the wait and see. But I said, my reasons for not doing the wait and see, if I didn't have the GameStop flip thing going on, I probably would have waited too.
Yeah, fair enough.
But my point being is, if your mindset, if you're even thinking about this thing, you know, if you're one of those people, because again, it's not everybody, you know, I think you'll be okay, you know, with it, you know.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, Sam, I know you're chomping at the bit over there to give us your impressions of the Xbox One X.
Yeah, so a lot of what
you're going to be rewriting. after this podcast? Yes, please.
Totally rewriting.
Totally rewriting. Because I just deleted it, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
It means so much to me.
Yeah.
But no, I've loved my time with the Xbox One X. Setup was easy. I really like it. I think, like Eric mentioned, it has a really good form factor. It's probably one of their best designed boxes, I'd say. It's really sleek. I haven't had any issues with it. I've heard some people having minor quibbles, but I haven't had any issues apart from getting it to recognize the controller in the first place. Took a couple of tries. After that, it was all golden. What's really impressed me is how many enhancements there are for games that don't even have patches. Like The Evil Within, for example. I mentioned that I had been playing that. It's infamous for its frame rate problems on the base Xbox. I mean, there are certain sections, like with lots of rain pouring down or fire or lots of enemies, it turns into a slideshow. I played through, didn't drop a single frame. And, that's not a big improvement. You can make an argument that it should have ran that way in the first place, but I digress. It's a Bethesda title, so we'll move away from that discussion for a moment. And the fact is, it's like, that's awesome. And if you're getting that result for every single game, regardless of the problems, regardless of whether it got an enhanced patch or not, that's really good. Even on a 1080p screen, I think the biggest thing that it comes down to is how much time are you going to be spending with it? How many, and you guys kind of touched on this, how many games are you going to be playing? The wider your library, I don't know if you disagree, Eric, but the wider your library, the more use you're going to be getting out of it. And that increases its value to you as a gamer. Because if you only have a few games that you're going to be playing, even with a 4K screen hooked up to it, I would tell you, $500, probably not for a few games. But on the flip side of that coin, even if you're on a 1080p screen, if you own 150 or 200 games, yeah, I would say go for it. You're going to be getting a lot of value for it. And developers seem to be supporting it really well. Final Fantasy 15 in particular is really transformed. Gears of War 4, Shadow of War, all those look really, really good on it. And I'm excited to see more of what developers offer moving forward in the future.
Okay, so the changes in the games themselves that are available on the Xbox One X at the moment are that big that the fact that you can only play games on the Xbox One X that you can currently play on your Xbox One or your Xbox One S makes that $500 to $650 purchase, depending on what region you're in, worth the amount of money if you don't have a 4K.
Again, I think it depends on the size of your game library. If you have a metric ton of games you're going to be playing, I would say yes. Absolutely.
Purely because they look a bit better on the Xbox One X. It's worth, and I'm not saying that this is a wrong or right. I'm just making sure that I'm clarifying exactly where
for quite a few, it's not a small thing. Shadow of War is a night and day difference. You can see miles further into the distance. The color palette even looks better. It gets some downsampled HDR effects.
This is me just dragging a little bit more information out of you, so to be really clear to people who are listening and maybe actually considering making that purchase based on your recommendation.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's totally fair. I think it comes down to how much you are gaming as a gamer. That's going to be where your value is.
As opposed to a non-gamer. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, that does sound like that there's some value to be had.
One more thing. Loading times. Do you guys notice a difference?
Yes.
In speed and in the dashboard?
Now, see,
GTA 5 loads...
that I've read your draft and Julius hasn't.
Gotcha. GTA 5, to give you an idea, Jules, you know how long that thing takes to load, right?
Yeah. And to be fair, I did read it. I just wanted this information to be out there for the viewers. So
yeah, you're absolutely right. No, it makes a big difference. GTA 5 tends to load in about 35, maybe 40 seconds tops.
See, and that to me is a game changer. That's a huge difference. I also love the fact that you can record 4K video to your external hard drive.
Yeah, that's also really cool. I think you can record 4K for up to, I don't remember, you can record 4K 60 frames for a short amount of time, and you can record 1080p 60 frames footage for a really, really long amount of time. Yeah, so they got some nice options there.
Yeah.
That's, like I said, I still maintain, if you're the person that has the mind of doing this, then you're kind of already that person that's thinking about like
exactly.
So
exactly.
I don't think you're going to be disappointed. But anybody who has an S and they kind of go, that kind of stuff doesn't really matter to me. You're good. Stay with it. You know, you don't have a lesser box, no matter what people on Twitter are trying to say now, with like soupy textures and all this other fun stuff. But because look, I mean, perfect example.
Are
I
they
have a friend
comparing sizes of boxes now on Twitter? Damn.
They compare everything, man. You know, everything gets compared. That'll leave us in
these Twitter streets, they just keep getting dirtier, don't they?
Yeah. And I have not been on as much because every time I tune in, I'm like, this is the same show. I saw this episode already.
It's constant reruns on Twitter land.
Yeah, and it's not the good episode. It's like it's the shittiest episode of the season, and they keep playing it.
That's right. It's like Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
But is it worth 500? That's up to the person. But yeah, Witcher 3 definitely loaded faster.
Nice. I cannot wait for that enhanced patch. I'm just like, please come on, CD Projekt Red. I know you said before the end of the year.
I really want to play this game for the 84th time this year. Please hurry up and patch it in 4K.
Yeah. And pick and choose who you listen to, because I mean, is it like the second coming? No, but is it an improvement? Yes. You know, it's definitely the one thing that tripped me out, Sam, though, is that it's a smaller package, but this thing is like dense.
Yeah, it is.
Like when I picked it up, I was like, really this thing is so heavy.
You look at it and you think, oh, I'll just pick it up. It's going to be, oh, wait, no, hold on.
No.
That's like the Elite controller compared to a normal controller, you know what I mean? You can feel the difference in the craftsmanship.
It's material construction, and the engineering side of this is superb. Like the ventilation. I don't know about yours, Eric, but mine has been quiet. It doesn't make
it's definitely whisper quiet. And that's the funny part, is like it's smaller than the Pro, and if you look at the Pro, you would think the Pro should be like a behemoth brick when you pick it up. It's lighter than the Xbox One X.
The Xbox One X is smaller than the Pro?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Much.
That's
much
impressive.
Smaller.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sound like a jet engine in certain games play either.
Oh my God, how noisy is the Pro? The Pro sounds like it's about to lift off. It's insane.
And I was in my kitchen one day, and it's back here. This thing was like, I was like, what the hell is that? It's like,
yeah, it really gets up nose, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, depending on the game, man.
It's got a turbo in it, so you kind of have to.
Look, if I can hear my console that's only been on for 3 or 4 hours over my noise isolating headset, that's a problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, there are times I'm like, wow, that thing, it's like Top Gun in here.
Overall, regardless of whether you have 4K or a 1080 monitor or screen, it seems like the Xbox One X is still value for money. It doesn't actually require you to have 4K. So if you're sitting on the bench a little bit about that, be sure to hit Sam up on Twitter, and he will answer any questions you have, because, evidently it's a thing. You don't actually have to have 4K to be able to enjoy the graphical and frame rate improvements of the Xbox One X, which is good to hear. All right, so moving on from that, before we spend too much time lingering, onto the subject that everybody loves to whinge about, Destiny 2. Are the issues really being addressed? Anybody here actually still playing Destiny 2?
I have not been. I am, but I have not been for like the last week or so.
For an entire week?
Well, I mean, when you have like 1 million family members here for Thanksgiving, and like the kids are rocking out, it's kind of hard to get like in and play Destiny without being like interrupted. You can't be interrupted playing Destiny.
Okay.
You need time with Destiny, and it's just the last week's just not been good for it. So.
Okay. Anybody playing on the daily?
I probably would be were it not for final studies right now. Actually, I play as much as I can.
Yeah.
What level are you at?
It daily for about. Sorry, go on.
On my Titan max.
Just your Titan.
On my others, I'm mid 200s. Working on leveling them up right now.
So that makes sense because you have reason to play on. Julius, what are your characters at?
I'm just rocking out my Titan right now. I'm at 298, I believe.
Okay, so you both actually have reason to play on still. For anybody who is at 305 on all 3 of your characters and has multiple different weapon loadouts at 305 and armor loadouts at 305, like there is legit no appeal left to Destiny 2 right now until Curse of Osiris comes out.
And that makes total sense. That makes complete sense. I understand the people who are already maxed out, why they're upset, or why they're not really upset, I should say. I know some people are,
just
but
done with it.
Why you're sitting there like, okay, next. I mean, you've gotten all the lemon juice out of that lemon. You know,
squeezed all the lemon.
Yeah, yeah. No more juice in it.
Now,
like you said, the DLC patch.
I mean, I want to find the appeal, and look, there are some things still that could potentially be appealing if maybe, I don't know, other people had learned the raid that I play with and were good at it. But unfortunately, we just have a bit of a mixed match of people who are able to get on at the same time as each other. And so we didn't really have a consistent raid team. So that made a big difference as well. But there's only so many times you can rehash the raid. Once you get all the equipment, what's the point of doing the raid again? You know, you get that shotgun from the raid. You go into the catacombs underneath, and you get all the chests. And I mean, what else is there to do with the raid? And then there's the factions. If you get all the equipment from the factions, and what's the point in continuing on with that? You do the what is it? Not Trials of Osiris. The Iron Banner.
Trials of the Nine.
Only so much you can do with the Iron Banana. You know, like it gets to a point where if you're playing every day and you're like really into that shit, and I was really into it, you pretty much clear through everything. You're like, there's only so many times I'm gonna rinse and repeat these fucking call to arms every week. Like, I'm done.
But is that the way the first one was, though?
It wasn't meant to be like that this time.
Let me
come on.
This is where like I said, for the people who are maxed out is an issue, but here's the issue for the people who haven't maxed out. Those of you that were in there strong because you were still feeling it and you were helping and and sherpering people through the raids and over the line and helping them with that. That's a hard thing for people to do now, especially if you're a part of a clan that's already kind of done it all. It's like it's hard finding people who are willing to do that for you now.
Yeah, I know.
I'm happy to help.
So that kills momentum too, because people who are at like 280, 285 who are still trying to push, good luck trying to find people who really want to push.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, if any of you ask me specifically to help you, I will help you. You know, like, it's not like I'm going to be like, no, that game is dead to me. I'll still give you a hand, but I will do it begrudgingly, and I will win to bitch at you through the entire process.
Mental note.
Sounds like
Bella.
Yeah, right. Sounds like a great party.
Eric, I got your back.
I finished the raid, but I feel like.
Do you feel the raid doesn't add enough like to your life as is?
I'll help you, but I'm going to be super unpleasant about it.
So, one of our viewers, Demigod Reviews, brings up a good point, and he says that he hit 305. He hit 305 way too fast, and the grind was easier this time around. Does anyone agree with that?
Well, there was no grind to get to 305 this time, really. Like, there was a couple of ceilings, and that was just for me. I know for other people, they had ceilings that seemed unsurpassable for a block of time. But for me, I didn't have that. I barely hit any ceilings. They were very easy to get past, and I was at 305, and I was like, right, starting second character. Finish second character, like starting third character. And then I got to the point where I was helping friends through all their stuff, and I had all of my characters at 305, and I was actually contemplating deleting one of my characters to give me purpose again, to go back through.
That's dedication.
That
was boredom. That's not dedication, that's boredom. Very big.
I was trying to dress it up in a nice tuxedo.
Yeah, no. And no tuxedo. It was boredom, because I loved the game. I wanted to continue to enjoy it, but it gets to a point where you know that everything you do is a fruitless endeavor because there's nothing that you can get from it that's going to be better than what you have.
Mm-hmm.
So why bother?
Yeah, and like me, you have it on 2 platforms, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's actually, I'll be honest, part of that is probably why I haven't really like jumped back in, because it's like, yeah, I can go through and do my weekly, milestones and things like that, but I still haven't even done the raid.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, dear Lord.
No, because it goes back to what I was saying, man. It very much becomes like you're like Rudolph trying to play reindeer games. When people don't want to rock with it anymore, it's like, and you're not at the right level.
I totally agree. It's like you have to disappear for a week or something happens or whatever, and then you come back and your whole clan is like, oh no, it's done, it's over, no one's playing anymore.
Well,
like,
this is
really?
why I was very specific with both of you. Sam was like, oh, I'm not picking it up day one. I'm like, dude, you're going to regret it. And Eric picked it up on PlayStation, not Xbox, day one. And so, like, yeah, to both of you, it's just like, if you're not in on here on day one, you're going to regret it. Because the people who we play with, we go in hard. We don't mess about. We are not there to F around. We go in hard, and you do get left behind, and that's not fair to people who don't have that time to invest into it. I completely understand. But it's one of those things, like the people who max out and learn everything about this game, they do it, and it's a daily religion for them. It's not just a chill, oh, I'll jump on and play this today, or I'll play a different game tomorrow. Like, Destiny is life until you max everything out and there's nothing to do until the next DLC content comes out. So anyway, Destiny 3, you guys will listen to me and everything will be great.
Well, to be fair, you never did tell me what platform you were buying it on.
Yeah, I did. I said I was buying it on both.
Well, you should start on PlayStation first, because that's the one that came with my Pro bundle. That's why I started there.
Yeah. But that's all right. Like, Trials of Osiris will be out soon, and everyone will be back on then. And even the people who are not at level 305 are still going to be able to benefit from that hype again, from having that injection of people back onto the servers again. So that'll be everybody's chance to get back up to level and really be able to enjoy it and do the raids and all that kind of stuff that you weren't able to do before. So there is salvation ahead of you.
DLC noobs.
Well, here's the word of advice. Don't let anything in life get in the way. So if, like, your family, somebody's sick, tell them they're on their own, because you got 2 or 3 days where Trials of Osiris
we have doctors and hospitals for a reason. Just saying.
Yeah.
All right? They're not a redundant service. They're there for reasons.
Like, I know I'm in your wedding. I know I'm your best man.
But surely the Chihuahua can just, like, walk down the aisle with those rooms instead. You'll be fine. All right, so let's move on along before we spend too much time here in Destiny 2, because we all know I can talk about that for a stupid amount of time. So second last segment, PlayStation 2017 experience. Panel has been revealed. Schedule has been revealed. Anybody want to talk about it?
The PlayStation games there.
Well, yes, that's right. There are only PlayStation games now. I was under the impression that everybody on this panel actually had a PlayStation now. I mean, Julius is just sitting in a box. Just sitting in a box.
It's under the tree. Shh.
Oh.
But technically, he owns one.
Yes.
He's just got to wait.
I have to wait. I have to be really quiet because my son's in the other room.
Uh-huh.
Well, there seems to be a little bit of consternation over PSX, the fact that there's not going to be a show or a media presentation proper. And I think they're sort of changing things this year. I know they had a big PSX last year. This year, it looks like that's not going to be the case. It's just going to be developer panels, tech talks, things like that. It looks like the bigger announcements were already made, whether at Paris Games Week or at E3. So right. I think expectations kind of factored into people's disappointments here.
Yeah. I think it's kind of like a celebration of the PlayStation experience and brand, right? Kind of like, I mean, the last Xbox event there wasn't very much new announcements, right? So.
Yeah, and I mean, they haven't really given out much information either so far. They've given us a panel lineup, which consists of a PlayStation VR game panel. Media Molecule presents Dreams. IGN ranks the top 10 PlayStation games of all time. Ghosts of Tsushima, from concept to reveal. Uncharted 10th anniversary celebration. That sounds lit. And The Last of Us Part 2, meet the cast. Again, Yeah.
I think they're treating the PSX this year more like a fan fest.
Agreed.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's what I was
People's
looking at, yeah.
Yeah, it's much more of a fan celebration, and people got really spoiled last year. Last year's PSX was great in terms of announcements, so it's like they already had, I think, in my opinion anyways, a good E3 and a somewhat decent Paris Games Week, so it's like they don't really need to drop more announcements at this. They don't have to. They're already carried. They're already covered for this year.
Yeah, and maybe, I mean, we don't know for sure, but maybe this is where maybe you get some dates. Who knows?
Yes.
You know, that seems like a perfect place. That seems like a perfect place to do that.
I was just about to bring up
But you have to pick your poison. I mean, how many shows can you like literally put on in like 1 year? Like, you know, they did E3, they did Paris Games Week, they even Tokyo Game Show to an extent.
Exactly.
You know,
you can have too many shows just as much as you can have too few shows. You can spread yourself a little thin, just as much as you can not show enough of your company's roadmap. And so,
and look, I don't go writing off announcements either. Like, there's going to be a ton of stuff that they're just not. Sony's actually much better at not leaking their shit than Xbox is. So, like, we're actually probably in for a lot more than what we expect.
Bella?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have Doom VFR?
What's Doom VFR?
It's Doom in VR.
Yeah, the VR.
Doom VR as opposed to Doom VFR. No, I don't have Doom VR.
Okay. I just wanted to see if you did have it and what your impressions were, but all right, never mind.
No, I haven't ventured into Doom on VR yet because I'm still to complete Doom that is not in VR. The main VR experiences that I've done recently have been Resident Evil 7, Riggs, Final Fantasy 15, Monster of the Deep.
Riggs is awesome.
I got Riggs. Riggs is free for PlayStation Plus or something. I grabbed it, and you know, just in case.
It's phenomenal.
Do that VR someday. Okay, can we talk about that for like a quick second? Because you know,
of course we can. We can talk about my favorite VR game of all time. Please.
Well, no, not just Riggs, but like PSVR in general. Because you remember like the talk around PSVR before it launched and everything was like, well, Sony doesn't support their peripheral type stuff for long or whatever. And seemed to be the exact opposite of that. I mean, you actually have people now talking more about it, and people who were probably on the fence or not even thinking about it are actually like kind of like saying, I think I might do this now.
Yeah,
I'm one of them. Like I'm not doing it yet because I mean, come on. In this year, I got a PS4 Pro, an Xbox One X, a Switch, and a 4K TV. If I go back to the account right now and say, "Hey, I want to get this dongle to put on my head," can I? She's gonna look at me like, so I could probably have that talk next year. But where I wasn't really considering it before, I'm actually considering it now because they are actually supporting it and showing it. And I thought it was funny at Paris Games Week, people were bitching like, "I can't believe they're taking time to show PSVR." It's like, what do you want them to do? You all said that they wouldn't support it. They are supporting it. They got to talk about it.
Hey, look, you can read my impressions on the site. Moss, the upcoming PSVR game from Polyarc, is one of the best games I played at E3, bar none. They are onto something special there. So, and you're right, Eric. You're absolutely right. People, you can't have it both ways there. Now, granted, I think a lot of the renewed interest in PSVR also probably comes from the fact that they've slashed the price by $200, which makes it a lot more palatable. I mean, $450 box versus a $250 box, big difference there. So
Again, that's one of those things that I forked out for on day one and paid, I think, all up to get the VR headset, the camera, the motion controllers, and half a dozen games in Australia. That cost me $1,200.
Right. Do you feel slighted by? I mean, probably not, because I mean, you've gotten like close to a year's.
No, I don't feel slighted because it's not like there was a massive price drop a month later.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
now, did you feel a little put out by the fact that there was a new unit out?
No.
Like with the HDR pass-through? Because I know some people were a little upset about that, but there wasn't many waves about it. But I could imagine some people being, maybe if you just bought it like a month ago, you're like, what?
Yeah. If you're buying it right now.
Yeah, it's like so PSX should be interesting to see. I think what you'll get to is probably like definitely more hands-on. So it'll be people actually now talking about what these games that we've seen at E3 and seen at Paris Games Week in trailer form and gameplay form, actually getting hands-on, more hands-on and more talks.
Yeah.
Just getting you ready for 2018.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, we are actually getting to the point where we are going to need to wrap up, and we still have 4 things left to do. So what I'm going to do is give you guys a choice of which of the upcoming 3 trailers I announced that you would like to talk about.
That's not fair.
Yeah, well, life isn't. Get used to it. All right. So you have the choice between The Incredibles 2, Star Wars, or Avengers.
Avengers.
Yeah, I mean,
Avengers.
yeah, it's not really fair, but Avengers for sure.
It's 2 for Avengers.
Gun to the head.
Yes.
Spell restaurant. Gun to the head. Spell restaurant.
Star Wars. I've already got my IMAX tickets for Star Wars. So yeah, I'd rather not like spoil my hype train on that one. So yeah, let's go to the Avengers.
All right, that's 3 for Avengers, 1 for Star Wars. Avengers wins. All right, so let's discuss the Avengers trailer. And only because we're down to 15 minutes and we have Netflix and chill, what grinds my gears, and questions from the audience yet to cover. So unless y'all want to be here for an extra 30 minutes, which nobody wants to be, let's do this. Avengers, Infinity War. What are your thoughts?
It's the payoff for the investment, the last 10 years of investment.
Yeah.
I'm in. And honestly, I don't need to see another trailer. I'll be on blackout.
That's perfect. That is perfect. What they showed, it didn't spoil anything. It's the natural conclusion, I think, and you can still get some fun fan theories going. Anchor and I have been talking up a storm already. Eric, you and I were talking a little bit about it. It's incredible to me just seeing these characters on the screen, because it's like, I think if you had asked me 10, 11, 15 years ago if we'd ever see a Black Panther movie, that would have blown my mind. That would have completely, utterly blown my mind. Then if you had told me that Black Panther would be in a movie with Thanos assembling the Infinity Gauntlet, and then you got Iron Man and Captain America and the Winter Soldier, it's just, no, that's nerd overload in the best possible way.
Yep. Yeah, and if you would have told me they're going to do Doctor Strange, I'm like, that whack-ass character?
Exactly, right? And then it comes out
and pulled it off.
And then Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
yep,
I mean,
Guardians of the Galaxy, it's... Marvel has done this right. It may have fumbled a little bit. You can argue about the quality of a couple of the early films, but I'd say Phase 2, the Avengers onward, everything, in my opinion, has been pretty close to perfect.
Mm-hmm.
They've got this down to a science. They've built up, they've taken the time to put out 2 or 3 movies every year to build these characters up so that we care about them now when all this crap is going down. They've done this right.
Yep. I do have a theory that Blade shows up. They pull Wesley in.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Oh.
Like, what up, Daywalker?
Oh, man. That's when I just look up to the sky. And I look up to the sky and say, you can take me now, big man.
Even if it's just a cameo. Even if it's just a cameo of him, like, at a coffee shop, like, walking out, that would be awesome.
It's crazy. I wouldn't put it past them, man. Like, Marvel's, I would not put it past them to, like, to happen, like, in, a quick end scene, introduced in some way. So, but no, it's definitely, it's all of it coming together now, and it's awesome. I mean, think about, like, just starting with Iron Man, a character that had a fan following, but was like a bench player. And they made him as notable as Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, anybody at this point. That's, you gotta give them credit on that, man. I mean, where DC, Warner Brothers, they have arguably the holy trinity of characters in a movie that no one cares about. And now, like Sam said, if you would have told me, years ago that there was going to be a Justice League movie and it's really not cleaning up at the box office, I would have laughed at you.
Yeah.
And rightfully so.
Yeah, right.
Rightfully so.
But here we are. And, and crazy part is, I thought Justice League was actually better than BVS, but hey, sometimes the damage is already done.
That's a whole nother discussion right there.
Absolutely.
So just out of curiosity, though, towards the end of the trailer, and just in case people are worried about spoilers, I'll try and be as vague as I can. There's a certain bad guy with a certain gauntlet that has certain stones in it, and there's spaces for more stones. What do we think about that?
Well, I mean, that was kind of a foregone conclusion, right? We know it's the entire point of what he's been after. He explicitly stated years ago that he was finally getting off his big throne and doing it himself. He's getting some of the stones. The question is if he gets all of them.
Yeah,
that's the real kicker.
Exactly, and
I would say get ready for casualties.
Oh yeah,
like a lot of them. We're probably potentially going to lose some of our favorite Avengers.
Yeah,
I don't honestly think
base that on.
Well, sorry, go ahead, dude.
No, you go, Sam.
I was just going to say, I don't think it'll be the bloodbath that the comics were, simply because they can't Deus Ex Machina the whole thing quite the same way comics can, but they're not going to be pulling any punches. They've been this is the event. They've been building this for 10 years now.
Yeah, and I think you'll lose some characters who, maybe aren't the strongest as far as fan favorites, but I think this is where Hollywood will come in a bit too, because you got some players that are making a lot of dough. If you want this thing to keep going.
Oh my God! Are you telling me Hawkeye's gonna die?
Hey, I don't know what his scope is, but I would argue, yeah, be ready to maybe lose a major player and some minor players, but yeah, this is because writing those checks are pretty big.
Yeah, those are huge checks. All right. Well, let's not go and break it down too much for anybody who's just sitting there going, la, 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 I've heard too much. We'll move right on. But yes, I think that was a great one to have a bit of a chat about, because it's probably the most exciting one for the majority of people right now.
Yeah.
And for good reason. Having said that, I was more excited about the Star Wars one, but I know why people don't want to discuss that. I know there are a lot of people on blackout that just don't even want to watch it, so it's completely understandable. All right, so from there on, we're going to move on to what grinds my gears, whilst allowing the audience to post any questions in the comment section that they may want to ask, and anything that's appropriate we will address at the end of what grinds my gears. So who would like to go first with what has been grinding their gears?
Anybody? Bueller?
All right, I'll start.
Bueller?
What grinds my gears is if you get, a kill streak in Call of Duty.
You get kill streaks in Call of Duty?
I do. And
so savage.
Just say, you get a 4 or 5 kill streak, and you're going off with a sniper rifle, and then you get you're hacking, or, what are you quickscoping for? And you're like, what the heck? And then you get reported for it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not cheating, and you're not, you don't have any auto aim, you don't have any dongles, you don't have nothing to physically alter your controller to make you better than you should be. And then you get messages, you get hate messages, you get threatened to be reported, you get all this stuff, and by kids who are just butthurt because they're getting beat in the game. Just play the game, take the L, and move on.
Okay.
That's what grinds my gears.
Okay, I can see why your gears might be grinded. You sound like you're a little salty, but I can see why you're grinding.
Just a time. I'm salty.
I feel like this segment coming on. Like, why are you salty?
Somebody else to give. Just take them.
You shouldn't be harassed for beating up kids in online games, Julius. You shouldn't.
Hey, I could melee more. That might help.
Yeah, I feel like that could be a thing. All right, Eric, what's been grinding your gears?
Well, I can't stand this. I don't know. This I had this little hang up about the fact that I'm seeing I had seen Christmas commercials, and not the stores, but like legit Christmas commercials, Christmas movies, and all these different things 2 weeks before Halloween.
Yeah,
and it just
I can agree with you there, dude. It's horrible.
It's funny.
It's horrible. Have some respect for the other holidays, people.
Yeah, and okay, this may not be the strongest grind my gears, but it's more of an irking thing. It's like, really? It's like we can't even go through Halloween before we start you're starting to like hawk merchandise at me, or tell me it's time to get the tree out and all this other fun stuff. It's like, wow.
It's like, do you see December 1st on the calendar? No?
Yeah, exactly. Those neighbors that leave their Christmas lights up all year long?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be right eventually. Like, why take it down? We're talking about Christmas in July now. So that's
There's one in every neighborhood. There's one house in every neighborhood.
Absolutely.
But so we've actually got one that steps up. They don't just leave the lights. They got the inflatables out months before the proper holiday. They got Halloween inflatables in July. They got ridiculous.
Oh, that makes me sad.
That's terrible. That's terrible. So like I said, maybe not the strongest grandma gets, but it's definitely something I'm like, this is bullshit. Sorry.
I can see Eric going in and just like popping an inflatable.
And it doesn't help because like my wife, she watches like those Hallmark Christmas like movies and stuff. And they do Christmas in July. And this is for us, think about it in terms of gaming. Like for people like my wife and my mom, whoever who really get into this is like their gaming event type thing. And she comes by me because she knows it annoys the shit out of me. She goes, Christmas in July. I'm like, leave me alone. Get away from me. Right?
Hey, but if it was Christmas in July in GTA, you'd totally be fine with that, right?
Yeah, I mean, if they had like a Christmas in July DLC for GTA, damn straight.
Yeah, you'd be all up in that shit.
Rockstar, if you're listening.
Somehow that'll be like straight up like hood, gully, bloody. They figure that out. So that makes sense to me. Yeah. So.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Nice. Sam, what's been grinding your gears?
I'm gonna say this as sensitively as I can. Because I don't want to start a huge debate. Because here's the thing. It shouldn't matter which side of the aisle you're on. You should be able to agree with this. So that's how I'm going to put this out there.
All right.
This has always been an issue. It's been an issue for the past few months. But in America recently, there has been a lot of turmoil. We got a lot of problems going on. And if you Twitter warriors still think that resolution and frame rate and my Ps are better than your Ps, even if they are legitimately, if you actually think that's a better thing to be waging war and losing friends over, then I don't really know what to tell you at this point. At this point, if you're still doing that with everything else we've got going on in our country, I've given up. Because we as a country need to be coming together. There are certain basic things that just, as a human being with empathy, you should be able to rally behind. And that's really taking a toll on me right now.
Yep. There's better things to talk about than which piece of plastic is better and which one sells better. And totally agree, man.
And like, okay, so this one's resolution is 100 points better than this one. So what? They both look great.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to discuss it, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with discussions with people who want to discuss. I'm talking about the people who are still having the drama and the whole internet arguments. It's like, no. At that point, I love discussing tech, but at that point, you've lost me. Yeah. And at this point, it's no longer funny. It really is.
Like legit mad. Like, like I hate that dude. It's like, you don't even know that guy.
I've gotten the whole I hate the Xbox brand argument because not all games are playing at 4K 60 frames per second, even though Phil Spencer and everybody else said that it's up to the developer to get the games up to that resolution and frame rate. And it's like, no, the box should handle it, so all games should, and Microsoft should put their foot down and make everybody conform to this 4K 60 standard. Otherwise, throw the box out the window. And I'm like, you are so full of it, man. Eric knows who I'm talking about.
Have you been watching crap gamer reviews again?
No, I have not. He's a little closer to home.
You've been keeping tabs on Kids Smooth.
No.
I'm kidding, Jerry. We love you. We love you over here, Jerry. We love you. Shout out to Jake. Shout out to the Inner Circle Network. We love you guys. And your ridiculousness and your fantasticness and your amazingness.
Can't pick on Smooth. Got some things going on right now.
Yeah, he does. Did he actually lose a bet to Hard 8? Is that what the?
Oh, that's the funniest video. It is the funniest video I've watched in a while.
So what happened?
Kid, I wasn't laughing at you, man. I was laughing with you.
So you were going to have to encapsulate that shit. We're right out of time, so you were going to have to encapsulate. You're going to have to like pull that into a very short version of what the hell did actually happen there.
Well, kid bet Hard 8 of $60 in a 1v1 Halo match, and it just started out. It started and it immediately became like very ugly. Where kid was basically saying, "I need a different map. I need a different map." It's just, it just got ugly. I would recommend go watching it. It was funny as hell, and I don't know. It almost made kid quit gaming. I don't think it was funny. I don't think it was funny to kid, but it was funny.
Basically, he got his ass handed to him again.
Yeah.
Oh, Jerry, we love you. We love you and how hard you tried these games. You're awesome.
To the point, Jerry Smooth went on and said, "I think I might be done with gaming. I might get rid of all my stuff."
No. I quote, and I sent this to Bella. It said I quit video games and YouTube, selling all my shit on Craigslist.
It happened. It was a thing. It was a tweet.
Yeah, that was it. But I think he's all right now.
Good. Yeah. Good. Jerry's good people.
Yeah. Take solace, Move. You beat Cuphead, and not many people are doing that.
True. I would have just reported Hard 8 and said hacking. You know. He's modding it. You know.
But yes, it is a very entertaining video. It's an entertaining video, so I would definitely recommend going to watch it.
Awesome.
I will be sure to go and check that out. Yeah. All right, so on that note, we are now 2.5 minutes over time. You all know how I dislike tardiness, so we are going to wrap up. The questions that were asked, I will note them down, and I will get back to the individuals who have asked them with a response. But before we go, I'll give all of you an opportunity to do your little outros and tell people who you are and where they can find you. And I guess we'll start with Julius Malco.
Absolutely. My Twitter handle is @digitalsyrup. You can find me on Twitter and on Twitch as I moderate the Real Game Media Twitch channel. We have 2 great streamers. Shout out to Confusion and to Northman, another great Aussie. So we're going to be Aussie. Sorry,
Aussie. We're Aussie.
Aussie.
We're not Aussies. We're Aussies.
You're awesome though. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Who's next?
I'm happy.
How did you, Eric?
I am very happy to be back. Thank you for having me. How's that?
Well, that was a tad more enthusiasm than you walked into this house.
That was good.
Yeah, good work on that. Good work on that. It's only an hour and a half late, but hey.
No, but seriously, no, it definitely feels good to be back. I know I couldn't make the last show, and I was bummed out about that, but I was going to definitely make sure I was going to be here tonight. And I always love talking with you guys, talking gaming. And yeah, people out there, like, be chill, man. There's like, this is plastic box toy stuff. End of the day, these are toys. Nobody got time to fight over toys.
Yes.
Or block people.
Shut your dirty mouth. These are a way of life. Sorry, I just felt like Twitter needed a voice right now.
Yeah.
You know, when you talk for Twitter, I felt like I should talk for Twitter. Please continue.
Yeah. So yeah, just be chill. Be cool. Love one another. Play games together. And yeah. And join us next time.
Indeed. Sam?
Well, if you guys want to follow me, I'm @Samuel Tolbert on Twitter. You can catch my opinions on movies and games and TV shows and all that good stuff. You'll also see me retweeting lots of different articles from RGM, which you should check out at www.realgamemedia.com. We've got a bunch of reviews, opinion pieces, and the latest in gaming news, all with common sense, decency, logic, and absolutely no bias. So please come check us out. Have a great time gaming.
All right, well, his reviews may be full of common sense and decency. Mine are just truth. I don't worry about common sense and decency. I'm just like, yeah, this is trash. No, I'm kidding. We Sam's right. We strive to make sure that everything that we put out is as honest as we can possibly make it. There's nothing in it for us to lie to you and tell you there's a game is trash when it's really good, and vice versa. So if you want to check out our reviews, we all have a different style of how we go about it, but we are all very upfront. So go and have a read, and you may find that you'll save yourself some money on a few games by checking out our reviews.
Don't buy that garbage.
Not buy that trash. But as always, it's a pleasure having you gentlemen here. I really appreciate the fact that you all took the time out to join us this evening. So thank you very much for that. To everybody who was in the live chat, again, always a pleasure to have you here. We really appreciate all your opinions, the pleasant conversation we have. I see we have the entire Tolbert family here in the chat again tonight. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Tolbert clan in the house.
High five for the Tolberts. So until we return, which will be in 2 weeks' time, everybody go play some video games. Enjoy it. Don't care what everybody else tells you about it. Go play a game. Experience it for yourself. Have some fun. Find a new world. Have a new adventure. That's what this is meant to be about. Enjoy some video games.
Nobody can tell you what's good or bad. That's up for you. That's you decide.
Right.
Exactly.
If I don't like it, doesn't take any away from you.
Yeah. Exactly. So go play some games, have some fun. And until 2 weeks' time, this has been another RGM podcast.